So tell me, who is Nusrat Rashid?
Who is Nusrat Rashid? I've never really been asked that question before. I'm a lot of things. Most importantly, I'm a mother of three. I have a 21, a 15, and an 11-year-old. I'm also an attorney, and right now that's sort of taken over my life in a different way than it has for the last almost 20 years that I've been practicing as an attorney. I am running for judge of the Court of Common Pleas of Delaware County, and that's the trial court. So I have a lot of experience in civil, criminal, and family law, and I am looking to really make a difference, bring some diversity, balance, and inclusion to the Court of Common Pleas, hopefully bring some innovation, and make the court even more accessible and efficient for my friends, family, and neighbors in Delaware County.
Great. You kind of covered my second question, which was
Oh.
why are you running for judge?
Well, I can answer that a little more specifically. Um, I really believe that the trial court of the county, should reflect the community that it serves. There are a lot of different, interesting, and wonderful communities here in Delaware County, and I feel that the court should reflect all of those communities. Uh, when the court reflects the communities that it serves, it inspires and instills trust and confidence in the courts from the people that are forced to use it for whatever reason. And that's very important for the morale and for the character of the county.
If you should win, would you prefer to preside over civil or criminal cases?
I would actually prefer to preside over a third division of the court, which is family court. Family court handles custody and divorce. It also handles child and spousal support. And there's also a fourth division that I'm also very interested in, which is juvenile court, which has two sections. One is dependency, which is the child protective or child welfare system, involving what most people know as CYS, as well as the juvenile delinquency division, which handles juveniles charged with criminal offenses. So that's really my niche. My passion is in representing parents and children in crisis. Usually, judges, when they first start out or are elected to the bench, they start out in family court. So I would love to be in family court, and I would love to stay in family court, but that's ultimately up to the president judge.
So that's right in your wheelhouse.
It is.
Okay. Nusrat, many from minority communities feel intimidated and helpless by the judicial process. They feel that they are not treated fairly by judges in particular, and the legal system in general. How do you plan to address their concerns?
Well, as I said, when the court is diverse and is made up of different members of the community from different demographics, that in and of itself can instill a higher level of trust and confidence. I represent average, ordinary people. I do criminal and family law. So I defend people who are accused of crimes, both adults and juveniles, and then the family law part of it. And I know firsthand that people are afraid to go into court. They're afraid that the judge won't understand their situation, won't be familiar with their backgrounds. And I have a very long history of representing people. I know the values that we share. I know the things that make us different, that also make us wonderful. I understand the challenges, strengths, and triumphs of minority communities, as well as other communities in Delaware County. And when you have an attorney who is elevated to the position of a judge, you have you have to wonder, like, what does their experience do for them on the bench? So as a trial attorney, someone who works in a courtroom every single day, I have that experience of knowing what litigants want and what they expect from the court and their fears about going to court. And those are very real fears, even when they don't know the judge personally or if they've never appeared in front of the judge. It's just the system. The legal system is a little scary. Here in Delaware County, whenever you hear the phrase, I have to go out to media, it's never a good day for that person. And since they're, people who have to go out media are facing some of the toughest times of their lives, whether they're charged with a crime, whether they're the victim of a crime, or, involving child custody, or the state, coming into their lives and taking their children away because of neglect or abuse, that should be the only thing that they're afraid of. They shouldn't be afraid that they're not going to get a fair and impartial treatment from the court. And when people from different communities, especially minority communities, see minorities on the bench serving as judges, it might give them a much more sense of ease that no matter what happens, I'm hoping that this person listens, understands, is independent, and is fair and impartial.
Mass incarceration and unfair sentencing has adversely impacted Black and Brown communities. How do you feel about sentencing reform and its impact on communities of color?
Well, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that sentencing reform is within the oversight of the legislature. We elect our state legislators, whether they're state representatives or state senators, to pass the laws along with the governor regarding sentencing and criminal justice reform. Judges are obligated to follow the law in that regard. However, judges also have a lot of discretion when it comes to sentencing, and sentencing can be made up of multiple parts. There is punishment, there is rehabilitation, there's victim services. The victims are very important. A lot of people don't talk about victims when it comes to criminal justice and criminal justice reform. I represent criminal defendants, so I have seen firsthand the effects of crimes on victims and on their families, as well as on the families of the person who was accused of a crime. So a judge has to take a lot of things into regard when they're doing a sentencing. There's a lot of factors. Many people have questions about mandatory minimum sentences. Mandatory minimum sentences are also mandated by the legislature. So in the appropriate circumstances, a judge has no discretion but to apply the mandatory minimum sentence. So people have to understand that as well. Sentencing reform has to come from the legislature, and a judge is always bound to follow the law as in that regard.
The bail bond industry generates about $2 billion a year, and again impacts disadvantaged individuals. What is your position on eliminating cash bails for certain crimes? Do you think that would be beneficial?
Again, that's not really a judicial issue. It's a legislative issue. It's something that the district attorney's office would also be involved in as far as what recommendations it may make to the court for the setting of bail. Here in Delaware County and in most counties in Pennsylvania, trial court judges or court of common pleas judges do not set the initial bail. The initial bail is set by the district court judge at the preliminary arraignment, and then when the case moves up to media, there may be some modifications of the bail. However, what I'd like for everyone to understand is that bail is meant to prevent flight risk, and if someone cannot flee, then they will show up to court and they will, face the victim and they'll face the court and whatever the results of their case is. I think the bail should be fairly set. It should be set according to what the person's criminal history is. Again, whether or not the person is at risk of flight, not necessarily whether or not the person can afford to pay it. And in that way, you can start out by having some fair and impartial bail setting.
Delaware County has been dominated politically by the Republican Party. Democrats now have an opportunity to reverse that trend.
Yes.
If that occurs, do you anticipate a smooth transition or turmoil?
Well, speaking just for the judicial,
Yes.
the judicial role, I can't speak to the other political positions. I anticipate a smooth transition. Judges are nonpartisan. Although here in Pennsylvania, judges are elected, therefore we have to run on a party ticket. Once the oath of office is taken, we are nonpartisan. We represent the law for the benefit of the people. I will represent the law for the benefit of the people. I know all of the judges in media. I believe that I have their utmost respect as I respect them. I know the district attorney's office, the assistant district attorneys, the solicitors for the different agencies. I've been working in the Delaware County Courthouse in media for a very long time, almost 10 years. So I have a lot of experience. Again, I'm a trial and courtroom attorney. I know courtroom procedure. I know how to conduct hearings and trials. And all of those things, I think, are qualities that I will bring to the bench that will be appreciated, not only by the current members of the bench, but also by the members of the bar.
The President of the United States of America has shown disdain for many judges but in particular those of color, and demonstrates very little respect for women. He also openly violates judicial rulings, while the party he leads, in my estimation, has been craven in their responsibilities to hold him accountable. If our laws do not apply and are not being enforced on the President of the United States, then why should they apply or be enforced on me?
Well, to prevent chaos and confusion. Unfortunately, in the United States, in our history, there has been hierarchies of elitism and sort of money buys power. Fortunately, here in Delaware County, we have a court that is good, that works to the best of for the people. We have a court that tries to run as efficiently as possible, to effectively administrate justice as possible. And I think what happens is in situations such as on the national level with President Trump and other things that happen, we see it in the news, we get caught up in that. But at the end of the day, we live here in Delaware County. And I take the rule of law very, very seriously. And the rule of law has three parts. One is that everyone is equal under the law, that everyone is accountable to the law, and that the judiciary is independent and free from political pressure. I can't speak for anyone else, but for myself, every litigant that would step in front of me would have that. They would have the rule of law. The rule of law is the basis of all freedoms that we have. For people who have not been charged with crimes, for people who have not been convicted of crimes, such as President Trump, he is also accountable to the rule of law as well. So the future remains to be seen what happens on the national scale. But for us here in Delaware County, I take the rule of law very seriously, as I do believe all of the judges who currently sit on our court.
The $64,000 question.
Uh-oh.
Why should I cast my vote for you?
Because you want to make a difference, and you want to make a change, and you want to be a part of history. Look, when Shirley Chisholm ran for was nominated for president, she made history, right? Martin Luther King made history. Malcolm X made history. Jesse Jackson made history. And President Barack Obama made history. But in that moment, did they know that it was going to happen? Not necessarily. They were going to try their best and do their best job. But the people around them had to rally with them to get that job done. History is made in the present. It's not made in the past, and it's not made in the future. For us here today. Today we have a chance to really show ourselves the power of our vote, the power of our conscience, the power of our values, and say we cannot stand around anymore and say what we want to have done. Say that we want a difference. Say that we want to change. If that was the case, President Obama never would have been elected. If people just stood around and said, I want to change, and did nothing. How do we have power? We have the power that our ancestors fought and died for, which is the power to have a voice and be free in a society that takes us seriously. Here in our community, again, it's just Delaware County, right? It's just a little corner of the world, but it's our home. And this is where we live, and we should have pride in it, and we should want to be involved in the process. Get out and vote. Say there is someone who has taken the chance, who has stepped up. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of putting aside your fears and your doubts, and I've done that, to say I'm going to be the one that people can say, you know what, that's someone that I can believe in. And she stands for things that I stand for. And that goes beyond just the Black community. It goes to the entire community of Delaware County. Diversity matters to everyone. It's like when you have a soup and it's just one spice in it, it's going to taste pretty bland. But then if you have a soup that has 5 or 6 spices in it, you're going to start to feel all the flavors of all those spices. And that's what we want on the court. We want individuals who are attorneys, who are now judges, who bring different backgrounds, different practice areas, different viewpoints, different perspectives. You add all that into the soup, which is the criminal justice system or the court system of Delaware County, and everyone benefits. Everyone gets the benefit of the different flavors that come from the judges. I have experience. I have practiced in civil, family, and criminal law for over 20 years. And I know that the people of Delaware County deserve to have a diverse, balanced, and inclusive court. And I believe that I can bring that. And I'm ready to rock.
How can voters reach you and or volunteer to assist your campaign?
Great question. There's two ways. www.rashidforjudge.com is where voters can go and learn more about my campaign. And if they want to support my campaign, they can do it through that page by contacting the campaign. And I also have a very active Facebook presence. That's Nusrat Rashid for Judge. Just go to Facebook, like the page, and you'll get to see everything. We try to post at least one thing every day about current events, articles related to the law, things about myself, the community service that I'm involved in, different events that I go to. I canvass a lot, knock a lot of doors. So I try to post pictures of that, let people know where I am. I'm all over the county, whether it's in Chester, Darby, Radnor, Haverford, Upper Darby, Lansdowne, Clifton Heights. I'm all over the county meeting and talking to people and letting them know that this is the year that we can really, really do some great things together.
Nusrat, you spoke so passionately on the preceding question. I don't even know if I need this last one. I'm going to ask you anyway.
Okay.
In closing, did you have any final thoughts or comments?
Let's do it. We have power. And by we, I mean the people. I mean, the average person, who just gets up and goes to work every day. I've had a lot of labor support. I've been endorsed by the AFL-CIO, our laborers local here in Delaware County, plumbers, and some other unions, SEIU, which is the State Employees Union. And it's really, really important that I've gotten that labor support. And I feel very humbled and honored to have gotten that, because unions represent the same people that come through the criminal justice system. Average people, ordinary people just like me, people who get up and go to work every day and just want to live in a safe and happy environment and community. For that, you need a justice system that flows efficiently. You need the administration of justice that is beneficial to everyone, regardless of what community they live in Delaware County. I want those things. I want those things for my children. I have a son. He's 11 years old. And we know of all of the things that happen in the news and around the country, and sometimes, unfortunately, even here in Delaware County, regarding Black boys and young men. And I don't want my son, my 11-year-old son, to grow up one day and be a man after I've taught him his whole life to respect the system, to respect the legal system, and for him to say, you could have done more. Why didn't you do more? I'm doing more. I'm putting my foot out there. I'm stepping into the ring. I've been very successful so far, but I literally cannot do it without all of the people of Delaware County, not only supporting me in principle with positive vibes and good intentions, but actually get up on November 5th, go to their polling place, and cast a vote for history. And I'm confident that we're going to be victorious, and I do mean we.
Nusrat, I want to thank you for sitting down for Lead the Candidates today.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Gary.